there, welcome to another Team Clueless Battle Report. It's a lovely sunny day outside, so we thought we'd spend the afternoon inside playing 40k. We're playing a special free-player mission today. There's myself playing Demons and Space Marines, or Space Marines and Demons. Mark over there with his little boy coming to join us for a game of 40k. He is playing Space Wolves with normal Space Marine allies. And Paul is playing Eldar using the Ironed-in rules. So he's got a massive great Wraith Knight, which looks suspiciously orky for today.
I think using the Iron rules is a long shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a page of rules.
Yeah, he's using the entire rules. So we're playing a special free-player mission today, slightly different to the free-player missions you may have seen previously. It has similar things with objectives, so the objectives are going to arrive on the table on turn 2, and D3 plus 2 of them will arrive, and they will arrive at the centre point of randomly determined table sections. The table sections are the 2 foot by 2 foot sections, meaning there are 6 of them they can arrive on. So we roll randomly to see where they appear, and then they scatter a bit. That's there to basically design so the players have to try and spread out around the table, so when you choose deployment zones there's not an ideally better place compared to objectives. There's also kill points in play. You score kill points for every enemy unit that you kill the majority of models in. So say Mark's got a 10-man tactical squad on the table and I kill 6 of them and Paul kills 4 of them, I gain the victory point for that. It's a little bit of bookkeeping, but it has a good balancing mechanic, because once I've killed some of Paul's unit, Mark's less likely to pick on it to then wipe it out. So it means that it's harder to get your victory points because players won't gang up on the weaker player. So it's just a nice balancing mechanic. We're also using rules similar to the old Dawn of War rules today, old Dawn of War from 5th edition, because one of the issues with a free player game is because you have to divide the table into its deployment zones, there's often not a huge amount of space for the players to deploy in. So you only have to deploy 2 units on the table at the start of the game. One of them must be a troop choice, and the rest of your units arrive at the start of your turn 1. To counteract that, so the player who goes first doesn't get disadvantage, it's always night fighting on turn 1 as well. So every player has to choose a deployment point on the table. We have coloured pegs representing our deployment points around the edge of the table. There's various different distances you have to be away from each other, which we've done ahead of time. We won't go into that because it's boring and complicated. So there is my red deployment peg over there, because I am the evil demons. Paul has deployed over here with his lovely white pure Eldar peg, and Mark has an evil Space Wolf grey peg there. So let's get on to our armies. Okay, so I brought 1500 points of Chaos Space Marines and Chaos Demons again today. Once again I must apologise for the painted state of my models. I am getting round to painting them very slowly. Look, the Screamers are becoming more painted. So, down here, my Typhus has arrived from eBay. So he is leading a large zombie horde. One of them's already fallen over. I blame Chase. He's the little boy, by the way.
Bit harsh.
I know it is, but I reckon he may have done it. So Typhus is there. He's leading a squad of 30 zombies. We have 5 Plague Marines at the back there with 2 plasma guns. The standard 2 obliterators that I always take. They're Nurgle marked as always. We have a Helldrake, all good for breathing fire on Space Marines. And then in the Demon contingent, they're quite even contingents today, but I'm playing Space Marines primary mainly because I want the Plague Marines as troops. So I have a Tzich Herald on disc. He's a level 3 and he has the book, the Grimoire of True Names, and he's obviously going to be riding around in this squad of 9 Screamers. As troops we have 10 Plague Bearers with no upgrades, and to round it all off we have a Nurgle Soul Grinder with Phlegm.
Okay, so this is my 3rd outing with the Eldar, and having had 2 goes with the gorgeous Wave Serpents, I've decided to try out the old Footdar using the Ironed-in supplement. So I have got in my HQ slot Farseer with upgrades, and I can now take 4 Spirit Seers in a single slot, so those Warlocks are actually Spirit Seers. They only make 1 Spirit Seer model, so that's going to look a bit odd if people want to take loads of them. Yeah. In troops I have 2 squads of Guardians, both with Shuriken Cannons, and a squad of 10 Dire Avengers. In fast attack I have a unit of 6 Hawks, which is the minimum size you can take if you want to have a large blast when you drop down, and 10 Warp Spiders. And in heavy attack I have got 5 Dark Reapers with the Strength 8 missiles, Starstorm missiles or something like that.
I like thinking them as crack missiles.
They are identical to crack missiles in every way.
Other than pinning?
Oh yes, yeah. Slightly better.
I thought it was just the plasma that pinned.
No, they get pinning. That's why they're slightly different.
And of course, also in heavy, we've got our Orc allies, the Wraith Knight with his Sun Cannon, and he's got the force shield, and he's got a scatter laser on there as well, and he will be my warlord.
Right, morning there guys. This is the Space Wolves today. The dude in Terminator armour is my warlord. I've rolled up Furious Charge in the enemy deployment zone, and he's got Jaws of World Wolf and Living Lightning. I'm led by, I should pull this back a bit, sorry about that, 4 rocket launchers, Long Fangs. I've got another Rune Priest, he's gone for, he's rolled, he's got Misfortune and Prescience. I've got a squad of 9 Grey Hunters, they've got a Melter Gun and a Banner and a Rhino. Another squad here, this one just also has a Mark of the Wolfen. Down at the back, I've got 10 Wolf Guard. I've got 5 guys who've got Terminator armour, and they've all got combi players. The rest of the guys have got combi melters, I've got power fists and chain fists in there, etc. I've got a Libby with Null Zone and Gate. I've got 5 big game hunters, and I've got a Storm Talon with the decent Skyhammer rockets.
Okay, we're all set up and ready to go. So the Eldar will be going first. We have set up most of our units. Hawks waiting to jump. Spiders crammed in behind this hill with Dark Reapers on it. Wraith Knight taking up most of my deployment zone. And I've put all my Psychers in with the Dire Avengers, which should be quite a powerful unit if we manage to get all those psychic powers off. Still about to come on, I have 2 squads of Guardians. Going second, we have the Space Wolves. We've just got some Sniper Scouts, some Long Fangs, and this is the Wolf Guard over here, isn't it? And they're all ready to go. And then the Chaos are going third, and Mike's just set up his big zombie unit and Typhus. Let's see how we get on. Okay, Eldar turn 1, we all moved forward a bit. The Guardians came on over here and over here, and the Hawks leapt back into ongoing reserve. Cast a bunch of psychic powers. There wasn't really that much I could shoot. These Guardians took a pot shot with their shuriken cannon and managed to take out one of the scouts. And we fired the Guardians and the Wraith Knight into the zombies and killed 10 of them. And that was it for turn 1.
We're off.
Okay, Space Wolves turn 1. All I've done is I brought on my 2 Rhinos. The one furthest away, the baby Rhino with Pop Smoke. I shuffled the squad down a little, but they're still hanging back in reserve. Cast Prescience of the Long Fangs, fired down into here, killed 3 Guardians. Start of the show was the 1 Sniper Scout that hit, did roll a 6 for a precision shot. Wounded and managed to take out his scatter laser. Paul, did you go to ground in the end or not?
No, we didn't.
Didn't bother going into ground. And then Drop Pod came down there empty and snapshot one of the zombies away. So that is...
No, my zombie made his feel no pain.
Oh, he made us feel no pain?
He did, yeah. You got no zombies.
What a cheeky little rabbit.
You didn't kill no zombie.
Fine. I ain't afraid no walls.
Me neither. Okay, Demon turn 3. So all my stuff arrived. I put the Soul Grinder and the Obliterators over there to put some fire on Mark's troops. The Obliterators fired at this tank here with their assault cannons because it was in cover, it was getting a 4 up. So I thought lots of shots would be useful. Unfortunately, I didn't do it at a single hull point, which was pretty poor. The Soul Grinder over there decided it would put fire on the most bunched up unit, which was these things down here. They had a Terminator at the front, so they'll be able to soak some wounds, but I hope the autocannon could kill him before going on to the Space Marines, because I could double out both the Librarians there if he rolled badly. But unfortunately that scattered really far towards the front, and it took out the Terminator. Oh no, it didn't take out the Terminator on the Long Fangs, did it? He made his save, but the Terminator at the front over here died to an autocannon shot, which was quite nice. Other than that, the zombies decided they wanted a bit of a speed boost to get towards the centre of the table, so they charged the drop pod over here. I've done 2 hull points with Typhus's demon weapon, giving him +2 strength, so he's managed to do the 2 hull points, so I rolled lots of extra attacks. The Plague Marines came on the back there, and they put some fire into this Guardian squad, and these jumped over it and did their slashing attacks. Unfortunately, Paul's about to roll a leadership check. Unfortunately, the weapon platform was the second closest model, and Paul was a boss on his saves. I think I did him 11 wounds, but I've only killed 2 Guardians on a weapons platform, so that was pretty poor. Let's see if Paul fails the leadership check, though. This could cheer me up.
Leadership 8.
Oh, they're okay. That's a 3 and a 1. So that was my turn. Not particularly impressive shooting wise, but I haven't lost a whole lot as yet. So then we did the arrival of objectives. We get D3 plus 2 objectives, so we rolled a 4, so 2 more objectives on top of that. We have 4 objectives coming in, and then we roll for the quadrants of the table it comes in on. So 1 arrived over here, and then we scattered them once they arrive, so it's scattered behind there, which is pretty good for me. 1 arrived basically on the back of the Wraith Knight over here and scattered backwards, so it's just down there behind Paul's Dark Reapers there. Over here, Paul lucked out and he got the second objective, and it's scattered. It arrived back here, scattered sideways in front of this wood. Over there, Mark was on the short end of the straw because the last objective had appeared over there, but it's scattered about 10 inches back this way, so it's a bit more where he's got his fire base located. So it worked out reasonably even overall. Paul probably slightly ahead on the objectives, but that's not particularly important at this stage of the game.
Okay, Eldar turn 2. We had the Sweeping Hawks drop down over here and drop a grenade and shoot up the scout squad. There's only one scout left now. He made two pinning checks and a leadership check.
No reason to make another pinning check.
These Guardians decided to fall back now the objectives have landed and they can see where they're supposed to be going. But then pretty much the rest of the entire army shot at the discs, and as you can see, the Screamers, and as you can see we didn't have a lot of effect. We dropped their leadership by 3, hit them with a Psychic Shriek, and hit them with the Dark Reapers, the Guardians, the Wraith Knight, the Warp Spiders and the Dire Avengers, and we managed to do 7 wounds total. That wasn't very impressive. We really need that book power to fail if we want to have much chance of doing anything to them. And then we've all spread out into Hell Turkey incoming formation to wait for the inevitable dragon.
And we're going.
Okay, so start my turn. I cast Null Zone on my Libby. Sorry, it's more in the middle, isn't it, really? But it's most of the bot stuff. So I cast Null Zone on my Libby, but Peril, so he's taking a wound now. And I also cast Prescience on the Long Fangs. The Long Fangs split fire as well as these guys. Shot down the Guardians, didn't only kill one Guardian.
One Guardian.
They got to ground, though.
One Guardian, yeah, made them go to ground. And I also managed to kill 2 Sweeping Hawks.
That's correct.
2 Super Hawks have died, but they've taken no thing. The rest are shooting, so all my combi players, a couple of bolters and storm bolters, plus the storm time did really well. Shot down into the blitz. I managed to kill one and put a wound on the other one.
He made his leadership check, luckily.
And that is it. That's all my turn.
My zombies attacked during Mark's turn as well, but Typhus's weapon tried to eat him, and I didn't hurt the drop pod. Bit annoying. Okay, so it's Demon turn 2. I alter on my reserves, and good old Hell Turkey arrived, but the Plague Bearers stayed off the board, which is exactly what I wanted. So the Hell Turkey screamed onto the board across here, flew over the Warp Spiders, who had got out of position, got 4 Vector Strikes on them, and killed 4 of them. Pretty sweet. He then breathed fire down here, activating his Demon Fugue to make sure, and I killed 6 of the Guardians, meaning that I've now done a majority of the wounds to that unit, because Mark's already killed, I think, 4 of them, so I've now killed 6, meaning I'll always get the victory point if they die. There's 1 left at the back there. The Screamers, first of all, started off by casting their psychic powers. I tried to miss Fortune, and due to the fact, what's the power you cast on me called?
Horrify.
Paul had passed Horrify on this unit last turn, so I got -3 leadership, I get +3 for being diseased, give me leadership 8 on my free psychic powers. So I failed my prescience, I failed my make him re-roll his armour saves, but I passed the Scryer's Gaze. How useful. But it might prove useful because the Plague Bearers are still off, so I can probably keep them off. The Screamers then charged in and ate through the squad of Dark Reapers. There's 1 left, but he's on his own and he's running off the board, so he needs a double 1 to stay in on Paul's next turn. Over here, we had managed to cast the Nurgle Psychic Power from Typhus over there onto these Guardians, giving them -1 strength and toughness, making them more susceptible to my shooting. Unfortunately, the Plague Marines over here completely woofed and I just killed 1 of them. What else happened? Over there, the Soul Grinder and the Obliterator fired at the same targets they fired at last time. If at first you don't succeed, you probably won't succeed the next turn either. I hit with my multi-melter on the Rhino, but failed to pen it, which was a bit annoying. The Soul Grinder fired his big pie plate over here. I was hoping to hit, I think, 5 or 6 of the big Wolf Guard units, but because the Terminator Librarian, the normal Librarian was the closest, and he's got null zones, so obviously want to kill him. But I scattered wildly off course again. I managed to kill the Terminator at the front of the Long Fangs. Mark hasn't been rolling particularly well on his 2+, and I did 1 wound to the front of this squad, killing a normal Space Marine or a Wolf Guard. Didn't have anything special, did he?
You killed the Terminator, didn't you? Oh, no,
I killed a Terminator from there and a Wolf Guard there. Combi Melter.
They've all got
that's quite useful then. The zombies had moved sideways, but they only rolled 4 or 5 on their move through cover, so in the end I decided to run back, and Typhus whacked the drop pod 1 final time and has now killed it. So we are at the end of all of our turn 2s, and I have got the first victory point.
Yay.
Woot! Somehow, 3 armies having 2 turns each, we have killed 1 drop pod between us. Okay, let's see what Paul can do on his turn 3.
Eldar turn 3. Our Swooping Hawks leapt back into reserve. Everyone else, well, he got up from being on the ground. Everyone else pulled back to again try and take out or do something about this slight screamer problem that I have. We managed to do 1 damage to screamers with the Guardians and the Dire Avengers, and the fastest psychic shriek. Oh, that got denied, didn't it?
It did.
The Warp Spiders. What did the Warp Spiders? Oh, the Warp Spiders had a go at the anus of the Hell Turkey, but didn't manage to hit it. And the Wraith Knight came and killed 2 Plague Marines, so not a very high casualty turn.
Right, end of Space Wolves turn 1. So I finally made my plate.
Turn 3.
Turn 3. I don't know why I said turn 1, I'm being an idiot today. So I made a very, very risky deep strike right down here. Scattered 3 inches backwards, which meant I was out of melter range for the Soul Grinder, but news just in, it's not there anymore. You can probably guess what happens. So this squad's here, they got prescience up, and they fired 2 melter guns and 2 crack missiles into Soul Grinder, and I managed to hit and blow up my 1 melter hit that went through, which is good. The 4 long fangs fired crack missiles all the way down here. I managed to kill the Obliterator. Storm Talon attempted to shoot this guy in the arse, but he made his 1-5 up for my only glance I managed to do. Other than that, I'm just hoping Hell Turkey doesn't blow my Rhino, and Scout's trying to move around to get the objective.
So he's tempted by Rhino, because I really need to stop Mark getting the objective. Okay, it is Demon turn 3. It's looking pretty bad over there for us, as Mark killed the 2 things I had. Well, they weren't really threatening him because they kept on rolling pretty poor. So most of the stuff is happening on this part of the table. My Plague Bearers came in, even though I got 3 dice from my little choose-it, Scryer's Gaze, but they did deep strike in, pinpoint accurate down to the objective, which was pretty useful. The Plague Marines moved into the forest. They've been rolling so bad on their terrain, they were aiming to get to the objective, but in the end they decided to fire up at Wraith Knight, but didn't do it any wounds because it's ridiculously big and powerful. Typhus's zombie blob had spread out after killing its drop pod, and they were in a 5-inch charge move of the Warp Spiders, who gunned down one of them with Overwatch, and then we charged in. Typhus raised his demon weapon and rolled a 1 and didn't do any damage, but the zombies were plenty to kill the foul Xeno scum, so 4 of them were fouled, so I got another VP out of that. These guys again made their Grimoire save. The 3-up rerolling ones is pretty impressive. They leapt over there and went and munched the squad of Guardians that was remaining there. The Helldrake over here flew over here, didn't get to Vector Strike anything unfortunately, but did flame a 4 of the long fangs. The remaining one failed his leadership check, and unless he rolls a double 1, he's off the board this turn, on Mark's turn. That's the state of play.
Eldar turn 4. So the cheeky 1 Guardian stood up and hid in the forest, getting ready to hit the deck again. Over here, the Dire Avengers decided they really need to do something about these screamers, so they have now charged in. With their fortune up, they only took 2 casualties, and with all these witch blades and so on, we managed to do 2 wounds back. Did I set you on fire with the soul blades?
Oh, you did, yeah.
So I've also set the screamers on fire. Over here, the Swooping Hawks dropped down and dropped a small blast on the Plague Bearers, and then the Wraith Knight took some shots with his Sun Cannon, and we actually managed to wipe them off the table entirely, which was unexpected but pleasant, and that's all we achieved.
Okay, let's put on my best Mark impression. Hi there! It is Space Marine Chaos, Space Marine and Space Wolves turn for 4. Mark has had to leave, as you may be able to tell from my appalling impression, because he has to drop baby off somewhere, so we are taking his turns for him. He kind of like gave us a rudimentary battle plan, which Paul and I have succeeded in cocking up by rolling appallingly. Sorry, Mark, if you're watching this. So first things first, the Storm Talon flew over from there, got to here, got 4 hits on the Helldrake's backside. Paul managed to roll and pen me twice, but then I made 2 invulnerable saves, so it's still floating 3. These guys move back, so they're going to be within range of this objective, and the scouters run sideways, so he's also there for double cover. Snap fired the combi melter out the roof of the Rhino at the Helldrake, but again missed. This guy was charging up the field to take this objective, but I rolled a 1. Again, I apologise, Mark. You rolled a 1 for going over this piece of terrain, so your dudes have all piled out and spread out so they can't be Helldrake to death. And they're going forwards. We had tried to shoot this Guardian with the Rhino's combi Stormbolter, but failed to hit or wound. Over here, that big squad there. Now, Mark had instructed us to deep strike over here to kill the Plague Bearers. but the plague bearers were all dead. So we decided that there were lots of risky deep strikes around, but if we deep struck Mark's biggest, hardest unit and mishapped and killed it all, that would be a little off. So as there weren't any brilliant targets, it's best to stay in play for next turn, as it's only turn 4. So he stood there and he shot at the zombies with most of the unit, but again, piss poor rolling all over the shop. We only managed to kill one zombie, I repeat, one zombie. So, Mark, that was your awesome turn 4 done. Okay, Demon turn 4. So I moved the Plague Marines out over here to go and kill these swooping hawks, so they've been a bit of an annoyance. I moved out, shot them and failed to kill any, and then I rolled a double 1 for my charge, so that was pretty poor. But it gets worse. Over here, the zombies all spread out, so I'd done a quite cunning manoeuvre. I'd strung these ones back here, so they, when they consolidated, if they beat up the Dread Knight, they could come over here and kill that. Typhus had used just one of his little powers, so he still had a power left to instant death the Dread Knight. I had left myself, look at that, that's a 3.2 inch gap there. Guess what I rolled? Another double 1. So I didn't get into combat with the Dread Knight, so both of those squads are just sitting in the open waiting to be killed, which is pretty poor. In the combat over here, I failed to take any wounds due to my lovely grimoire. I dealt 1 wound back, but Paul made his leadership check. That combat's just going to continue forever. Over here, the Hell Turkey flew over the top of the Rhino, Vector struck it, but didn't do particularly well, only got 2 hull points on it, so it's still up, and then it breathed fire on this squad here, but due to the proliferation of Terminators in there, I only killed 1 normal Marine, and then Paul made all of Mark's saves for him for all the rest of the wounds. So that was a pretty bad turn overall for me. I didn't achieve anything at all, and I've now got both of my troop choices in the open, not doing anything, so I'm not going to be objective scoring this game, I fear.
Eldar turn 5. The Swooping Hawks decided that they didn't particularly want to die, so they've leapt back into reserve. The Wraith Knight leapt down here, took some shots with his Sand Cannon and his Scatter Laser and killed a guy, and then charged in against the 2 Plague Marines. He unfortunately didn't manage to kill either of them, and they managed to deal him a wound. Luckily he's fearless. Over here the combat continued. I managed to kill 2 Screamers this round, and he didn't manage to do any casualties back. Oh yeah, 1 complete Screamer, 2 wounds worth of Screamers, and he didn't manage to do any wounds back, and I also managed to horrify him, so he was down to leadership 3, so he made that check and the fight continues on a double 1. This Guardian has managed to get up. It's been sufficiently long since he was last shot that he actually managed to move, and he took a sneaky shuriken catapult shot over here and managed to kill a Mark of the Wolfen guy, so that was not bad going, but he's still not really that convinced he's going to be able to hold this objective. Let's see what happens. Space Wolves turn 5. So the Wolf pack, what are they called?
Wolf Guard with loads of Psykers.
With 3 Psykers on board, teleported over there with the Gate of Infinity to try and stop that objective being taken. Unfortunately, the Rune Priest tried to cast a Prescience and blew his own head up to his second Perils of the Warp, so nobody gets the kill point for that. He then shot over at the battle going on here, but didn't do any casualties. Over here, these guys raced forward. He needed to get 3 on his run roll to get within range of the objective, which he managed to get. But I've still got my cheeky Guardian. They tried to take out the Guardian with 2 sets of Storm Bolters, but hitting the deck, the Guardian managed to stay up. The Storm Raven has been chasing the Dragon around all game, shooting at the arse, and Mike had made 4 consecutive invulnerable saves on penetrating hits, but this time was the charm, so we managed to get a 5th penetrating hit. He finally failed an invulnerable save, and it was a 6, so that was been taken out. In the meantime, we've got what are they called, Grey Hunters and a Scout sitting on that objective claiming it. So that's the end of Mark's turn 5.
Okay, it's Demon turn 4, possibly the last turn of the game. So first of all, I'll see what happened on my turn, then we'll do a quick summary of how the game is before rolling the dice. So, my big zombie squad over there decided that they could have gone back there and fought Mark's big Terminator squad and such, but I knew that Paul's Wraith Knight would be coming in close, and if it went on another turn, then he could come and contest me, and I may not go through the Terminators particularly quickly, especially with Typhus's demon weapon being malfunctioning quite a lot this game. So I decided the zombies, the shortest charge they had, they could have tried to go over there and take that objective, but they decided to go and try and rescue the Screamers to stop me losing some more VPs. They made their charge in over here. Most importantly, I'd managed to cast Misfortune on Paul's unit. I cast 2 psychic powers on his unit this turn, one that gave them all -1 attack, which turned out was was actually of no use. And I cast Misfortune. Paul has Fortune up, so it obviously just cancels that out. But it also, for Fortune, let him re-roll his Deny the Witch, which he failed 4 different Deny the Witch rolls with his level 3 Farseer in that squad, which wasn't particularly good for him. Combat went in. Paul hit first, and he killed, I think, 6 zombies, which is pretty bad. I failed all my Feel No Pains this round.
And I killed a Screamer as well.
Which gave him kind of like advantage in the combat due to the fact that those wounds then pile onto the Screamers. In my return attacks, the zombies and the Screamers managed to kill all the Dire Avengers, which was 7 of them, and as Paul had killed a Screamer, he was 8 to 7 wounds up. Typhus powered up his zombie weapon, his demon weapon, and powered it up for instant death, and he hit into the Spirit Seers, but Paul made, I only got 3 wounds through, and Paul made all of his Spirit Seer saves, which was a bit good for him and not good for me. So that was a win combat there for Paul, and I lost another wound on a Screamer. On my Herald I took the wound on in the end. So that was all that actually happened on my turn. Not the most exciting because they're the only units I have left. So state of play now. What's the VPs for? This is for kill points. This is a majority of enemy squads killed and no longer on the table.
So you have got 6 kill points. Mark has got 3 and I've got 2.
So 6 to 3 to 2. So then we go through objectives. This one over here, nobody is scoring at the moment. This one here, Paul's Lone Guardian, is still scoring that one, or contesting it, along with Mark's troop choice there. Over here, Mark's pretty solidly got this. He's got a scout at the back there and those Grey Hunters scoring that objective. And over there, I have retreated away from it, but neither of those two are scoring units. That's not actually close enough. So that one is not scored. None of the Warlords are dead. The Warlords being the Rune Priest in Terminator armour there, the Farseer over here.
It's the Wraith Knight.
Oh, sorry, it's the Wraith Knight over there, and it's Typhus down there, and all of them are looking pretty unwounded. So nobody's got the Warlord point. First Blood isn't active in this game, and we each have Line Breaker, because Paul and Mark are both line breaking over there, and I am line breaking over here. In this scenario, you need to be within 12 inches of an opponent's deployment point, the pegs on the side of the table, to count as line breaking. So if the game ends at this point, it's a draw between Mark and I.
I'm actually sure we are line. Is it over here?
Yes.
We're probably not line breaking then.
Okay, we may need to quickly measure. Oh, tense thing here.
No, I'm 15 and he's...
Okay, I was hoping the game would go on, but now...
You've got your 10.
Oh yeah, I'm in. So now if the game ends, I win.
You win by points.
Excellent. Let's get rolling that dice then, Paul. So on a 1 or a 2, the game is over. Let's see if we can actually roll the dice on the camera for once.
Yes, you've won it.
It's a 2. I have shockingly won. Excellent.
I was thinking it was anywhere in the deployment zone, which is quite big.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the discussion of the game then, shall we? I thought Mark had it, to be honest. He had far more stuff on.
Yeah.
So at the start of the game, we each have to choose a deployment point on the edge of the table, and then we get to deploy within 12, and then our table edge counts as within 24 of that. So I went first with my deployment and put it down there. Paul went second, and he went over here, which kind of like made us opposites. Mark was second, sorry. Mark was second, and he went down that end. Paul put his down over here opposite me, and it kind of led to Paul and I having a bit of a protracted war over here. I sent my Screamers over, which are probably my more powerful unit, and your entire army descended. We just got bogged down with each other, didn't we?
I should have assaulted them really early on. I think
possibly you could have just then locked, because you had your Fortune, and my Grimoire was really good this game, and they just weren't killing. We were killing like 1 or 2 models a turn, weren't we?
Yeah.
And as long as both of those passed, then that combat would have gone on.
Away, saved my
you'd lost your big squad, but yeah.
My Dark Reaper squad and.
That's it. My zombie. I loved my zombies. The fact Typhus is in with them, it means he's quite slow getting anywhere. But I mean, who wants to shoot at zombies?
Yeah, it feels like such a waste. I mean, I shot them the first turn because there was literally nothing else on the table, and then that was the last damage that they took until they discharged into that combat.
That's it. I moved them into the centre of the board, and basically was, whenever I moved them, I kind of like made sure I spread tendrils out in different directions, so the blob of them would move forwards, but I'd tendril out backwards as well, so that if I needed to charge in a different direction, I'd do that. And they proved awesome all game. I made like 3-4 charges onto stuff.
I think Mark's game plan was the soundest, though.
Yes, Mark's game plan was,
kill one Guardian there to win it, basically.
Yeah, if that Guardian hadn't have made his gone to ground cover saves, he'd have been fine.
Or if that Rhino had still been alive, then he would have got there a turn earlier.
Yeah, that's it.
Could have charged me off if
No, Mark definitely had the best battle plan. I think if it had gone on, he would have won that game, I think. Yeah. I didn't have anything left that could threaten him. We'd have whittled each other down a bit more over here.
I'm still an avid hater of Hell.
The Heldrake.
Helldrakes.
This game I pointed out to Paul that it could actually go into hover mode if it wanted as well.
I didn't even know that.
I think I compare this mission, there's another free-player mission we use, and I think I probably slightly prefer this one due to the slightly different setups. I feel the setup's less of a...
Yeah, I mean this is a good basic setup for a 3-player game, and then you can actually play any objective, any mission you want on top of it.
That's it, you could just play normal kill points or objective placement.
By far the best 3-player setup we've done.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, what did you think of this is your another outing with the new Eldar?
So I wanted to try a Footdar army. I really do much more prefer being in the tanks, having the jet bikes and so on.
It's just the movement, isn't it? I mean, the Footdar are manoeuvrable for foot-based army, but...
I really like the Spirit Seer Council. I think that the Warlock Spirit Council, the Warlock Seer Council is probably not that great, but the Iron Den Spirit Seer Council was brilliant. And you can even attach it to another squad. So
I didn't think you rolled particularly well for your psychopowers when generating because you got none of the wounds back or flamer templates.
But I got Fortune, which was the most important thing.
That's what you did get Fortune. You got double improve armour save, but you never managed to cast both the improve armour saves at the same time.
Even with Leadership 9 on.
So
you get extra leadership over Warlocks.
Yeah, you'd have been 2+ Dire Avengers over there with a reroll, which would have been quite nasty.
So that's a pretty expensive squad. I'm trying to think what I could. So that the Spirit Seers and the Far Seer is 5 or 6 models. So if I want to put them in a Wave Serpent, they have to join a squad which is sort of 5 or 6 models as well. And I'm just trying to think what would be a good squad to have them joined with.
Yeah, Wraithguard take up 2.
They're bulky, so
you can't put them with those. Possibly one of the. Well, you think assaulty. It depends whether you're going assaulty or not. I mean, if you went heavy assaulty, you could go with the Striking Scorpions, gives them a 2+, and they let you shred. They put out lots of attacks.
Yeah, I don't actually want Howling Banshees, but I still don't have grenades.
No.
What do I think?
It's a struggle to know.
But if you can get them up to the 2+ armour, then you don't need to go first.
But the thing is, problem is they're not particularly assaulty. So do you want to stick them in an assaulty unit to make that unit more powerful?
They've all got the Fleshbane weapons.
That's true. They do a lot of wounds. Possibly, if you're going foot, then Eldrad might be better, giving him because he's got an instant death power weapon. That lets you deal with a lot of the units that could cause you trouble.
Another alternative would be to take a bit more telepathy in there and get a few psychic shrieks, and then they could be quite shooty.
Yeah, because the reducing my leadership was really nasty. Because with the demons, if I fail it and then I'm on an instability check, just looking at the camera is flashing at me, so we're going to have to cut it short.
Okay, we'll call it the day there.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and Mark, we're sorry we didn't manage to win it in your absence, but well,
you were one guardian away.
Yeah, you might have done better if you were here. See you, everybody.